Dragon Ball Super Exposure. I am a Super Saiyan. Chapter 161 to 168. Chapter 161 _ Team Up. Eliminate Frost. Boom. Under the fierce battle, even if the number of people in the field plummeted, it was very fierce. Goku and Hit joined forces to deal with Tispo in the 11th universe, and there was another warrior who was good at assisting, which also caused some trouble to Goku and the others. On the other hand, Gohan is playing against a player from Universe 4, but he is in a bad situation at this time. After playing against a player from Universe 10, his physical strength is very high, so now in the face of the high-intensity attack of the enemy, it seems a bit difficult. Bump. Gohan grabbed the gap, and immediately knocked the opponent into the air with one kick, and was able to breathe. 7th Universe Sun Wuhan, the son of Sun Wukong, is not bad. At this moment, a sneering voice came. Who? Gohan was startled, then looked aside. I saw Frost and Frieza walking slowly. Frieza, Frost, how did you two get together? Gohan asked in disbelief. Ho ho ho, classmate Sun Wukong, long time no see. I didn't expect your power to be so much stronger than before. Frieza said curiously. He remembered that when he was resurrected before, Sun Wuhan's power was not as strong as it is now. At that time, he could easily solve the opponent, but now the opponent's breath is so strong that it is different from the original. What else can we do? Of course, we joined forces to solve the problems of you guys, and then capture the Super Dragon Balls. Frost said with a smirk and proud. Of course he is proud of Frieza, who is the same type of person as him, and they both use each other. Although it is against the principle, it is not a bad thing. After all, with his strength, it is very difficult to stand out in this power conference, so he can only cooperate with Frieza now. Of course, his opponent is also willing to do so. You two guys, Gohan said through gritted teeth. And the player from the 4th universe saw this and knew that he didn't need to intervene here, so he just fled. Ho ho ho, for Super Dragon Ball, we might need to let you guys out, what do you think? Frieza looked at Gohan with a wicked smile. Then come and try it. Gohan gestured, ready to meet the enemy. Ho ho, so, who's on first? Frieza looked at Frost. The latter smiled slightly. Since you're from the 7th universe, then it's up to you, just to show the sincerity of our cooperation, how about it? Okay then, Frieza smiled and walked towards Gohan. It's not necessary. At this time, Luya didn't know when he appeared on the heights, looking down at the situation below. Mr. Luya, Gohan exclaimed in surprise. Luya, ho ho, why, do you want to join this party? Frieza grinned, and then a flash of red flashed across her eyes. Frost is staring at Luya, and he hasn't calculated the previous account with this guy. I didn't expect it to be running now. Thinking of this, Frost glanced at Frieza. Just right, take advantage of this guy. However, Luya did not give him a chance, but ruthlessly exposed. Frieza, playing the clown, you are really interested. What? When this statement came out, everyone was shocked. Oh, what do you mean by that? I don't quite understand. Frieza smiled. Luya said lightly, aren't you playing with each other when you join forces with Frost? What? What's going on? Frieza. Frost looked at Frieza in surprise. The latter turned his back to him and looked at Luya. Ho ho ho, are you sure you see me that way? Gohan was also a little surprised. In his eyes, Frieza really did these things, but now Luya is saying that Frieza did it on purpose. What's going on? I can only say that a low-level guy like this really doesn't need to do these bells and whistles, just eliminate it. Luya smiled slightly, and in the next moment, he suddenly appeared in front of Frost, but he didn't make a move. Instead, he looked at each other playfully. Frost was startled and quickly stepped back. Damn. You bastard, how dare you underestimate me? Luya sneered. It's not that I underestimate you, but your strength is really too weak. Frost gritted his teeth, then looked at Frieza. Mr. Frieza, join forces with me to deal with these two Saiyans. However, this time Frieza did not respond to him, but suddenly laughed, and then he turned around and looked at Frost. Actually, he is right, I am indeed making fun of you. What? Frost suddenly looked awkward. It's too much. 3 of your 7th universe bullied 1 of my 6th universe. Champa said with some dissatisfaction. Humph. This is not a fair and just match. If you have the ability, then let other players from Universe 6 come to support. But the result is the same. Beerus said proudly. Bastard. Champa stared at Beerus, and almost wanted to rush over and bite off his ear. How could this be? Am I the only one being played like a clown? I can't accept it. Frost roared suddenly, and then he shouted angrily, bursting out with an extremely astonishing force. Ho ha ho ho, it seems that your face is as pleasant as I expected. Frieza said proudly. He was always excited to see others being played by him. Hey, are you here or me? Luya said, looking at Frieza. The latter spread out his hands. To be honest, I still want to save my stamina and make plans for the last enemy, so please do it. Luya snorted, and he saw clearly what he was dealing with, but he didn't bother with him, but looked at Frost. Go down by yourself, or shall I throw you down? It's just you. Frost grinned, and then a powerful force burst out, and then frantically released rays toward Luya. But in Luya's eyes, these attacks are too slow. When using dodge, the opponent's attack cannot touch him at all. Swish. Suddenly, Luya appeared in front of Frost when he was free, and punched him directly in the face. Ouch! Frost screamed and shot out. How is that possible? Frost stood up in embarrassment, and then pointed his finger at the sky, condensing into a huge energy ball in vain. If that's the case, I'll destroy you here together. Frost said hideously. Hee hee, listening to your tone, it's as if you're going to destroy the entire ring, naive. Luya smiled slightly and said mockingly. Bastard. Go to hell. Frost threw the energy ball directly. Luya, be careful, Gohan couldn't help reminding. Luya laughed. Be careful of what? This kind of trick. Dare to make an axe. After speaking, Luya stretched out his hand, exploded directly, and immediately blocked the opponent's attack. Damn! Frost roared, increasing the horsepower. Humph! Luya snorted coldly, and then suddenly, a terrifying force suddenly condensed in his hand, and then, the energy ball was directly defeated by Luya's shock wave. At the same time, Frost was directly hit by this force, and he vomited blood and flew out. Boom! With an explosion, Frost's figure fell directly from the ring to the audience seat of Universe 6. No way! He was eliminated so quickly. Champa said in disbelief. Great! I finally eliminated this annoying guy. Beerus and the others were very excited. Chapter 162 _ The Strongest Warrior. Jiren appears. Eliminating Frost, Luya looked at Gohan. Recover your strength first, otherwise the battle will be very difficult. Well, thank you, Mr. Luya. Gohan said sincerely. A trivial matter. Luya waved his hand, then looked at Frieza. Hey, you guy, since Goku has agreed to your conditions, then you can honestly help the 7th universe win, otherwise, don't blame us for being rude. Oh, I didn't expect you to know the things between us. It's not easy. In other words, you are a Saiyan, but I have never heard of you. Your origin and strength are very mysterious. Foley Saw looked at Luya curiously. You don't need to know my origin, but you only need to know that my power is not what you can imagine. Luya said proudly. Really? Then I really have to find a time to meet you. Ho ho, that's it, I'm leaving, you guys take care of yourself. Frieza smiled, then turned and left. However, when he turned around, there was a faint glint in his eyes. This guy is very dangerous. Gohan walked to Luya's side and said solemnly. Luya nodded. I know, but don't worry, he can't make any big waves. Gohan nodded. If that's the case, then I'll go too. Luya nodded. Take care of yourself. Yeah. Gohan left immediately. Luya glanced around, then took a deep breath and walked in one direction. The other side. Woohoo. Boom. A hill was smashed into pieces, and Wukong's figure was buried directly in the hill. And the person who attacked him was Tispo of Universe 11. The opponent's speed is so fast that even Wukong, who can break the flash time skill, is a little caught off guard. On the other side, Hit was playing against another player, but the opponent's strength was not as strong as Hit, and it was only a matter of time before he was eliminated. Wukong took off the gravel, and then looked at Tispo. As expected of the fastest person in the 11th universe, the attack is so good. Tispo looked at Wukong proudly. You're not too bad, but, for me, you can't keep up with my speed at all. Really, but I'm sorry to tell you, I've seen through your tricks. Wukong suddenly showed a confident smile. Really? Tispo had a look of surprise on his face, obviously a little disbelieving. That's right. Although you are extremely fast, you have obvious weaknesses. This is what I discovered after being beaten up a few times. Otherwise, it would be difficult for ordinary people to find out. Wukong smiled. What the hell are you talking about? How could I possibly have a weakness? Do you want to try? Tispo's face turned gloomy. Hee, come on. Wukong smiled slightly, and then he was shocked, and directly transformed into the Super Saiyan God. The red radiance is extremely dazzling. Chi, a guy who has nothing but appearances. Since that's the case, then let you see the power of my Tispo. Tispo snorted coldly, and then he rushed out, and then, his body shape it turned into an afterimage directly, and the speed surpassed time in this instant. Beyond the speed of sound. However, Wukong showed a smile full of fighting intent. The next moment, he shot a cannonball directly and shot it directly towards him. Boom. Surprisingly, Goku's attack hit the target. Incredible. What's going on? The clown destruction god and other gods said in disbelief. That guy can actually hit Tispo. It's impossible. The 11th king god was also very shocked. Hee. Wukong looked at Tispo, who had shown his true form, with a smile, and he was more certain of his guess. Tispo had wounds on his body, and his face was also very ugly. How is it possible? How could you possibly attack me? Your attack is too monotonous, which means that when you use super high speed, your action line is straight, so this is your fatal weakness. As long as you can predict your action trajectory, then I can easily your location is captured. Wukong smiled faintly. Damn, this guy actually found a loophole that even Topo didn't find. He's really a fighting genius. However, I didn't even notice it myself. It's troublesome. Tispo's face was a little ugly. Come on. Next, I won't let you attack me again. Wukong put on a fighting stance and said. Snort. I will not be afraid of you. Tispo snorted coldly, and then he once again used the speed beyond the speed of sound. What? Suddenly, Wukong suddenly launched countless air bombs. These air bombs scattered all around, blocking all possible straight routes. Boom, boom, boom. Sure enough, before Tispo's figure flashed, the air bomb had already been triggered. Suddenly, bursts of bombing sounded. There, Wukong's eyes narrowed. He suddenly turned super blue, appeared in front of Tispo in an instant, and punched the opponent out. The latter crashed directly into a hill, and lay in a pile of waste rocks in embarrassment. You lost. Wukong looked at him lightly. Damn, Tispo struggled to stand up, a little unwilling. On the other hand, Hit successfully eliminated the players in the 11th universe, which also led to the fact that there are only 3 players left in the 11th universe. Hit glanced at the battlefield where Sun Wukong was, and then it was a little complicated. Monkey King, what a genius, he was able to find a gap in the opponent's battle in this kind of battle. Speaking of this, his eyes suddenly froze, and then he looked in one direction inconceivably. There, a figure slowly walked towards the place where Sun Wukong was. That's, Hit thought for a while, and then decided to retreat. He knows that the real heavyweight is about to appear. On the other side, Luya's footsteps also stopped, and he looked at the target he wanted to challenge. Are you a step late? ... Tispo wanted to stand up, but there was a dull pain where he was hit by Super Blue Goku, which made him a little unbearable. At this time, a figure suddenly walked up to him. "You step back, leave the rest to me." As soon as the cold voice came out, Tess subconsciously looked at the person who came. Jillian. "It's Jiren." Wukong looked at the other party, and his eyes were also solemn at this moment. "That's it, Jiren. Is he finally going to stop shooting?" The 11th Universe Realm King God's face suddenly became excited. "Humph. There are only Jiren and the others left in the 11th Universe. If they don't take action to shock Xiao Xiao, I'm afraid they will give priority to eliminating me in the 11th Universe." The Clown God of Destruction said lightly. "Jillian's shot will surely have a deterrent effect." The angel smiled slightly. "Of course. No one can defeat Jiren. He is the strongest warrior in the universe." The Clown Destruction God said proudly, "Come on Jiren. Let these guys see and see, you surpass the power of God." Boom. Jiren walked towards Wukong. He didn't radiate any real power, but that powerful oppression permeated the entire arena. "Do not. It is the whole realm of nothingness." Chapter 163_Goku vs Jiren. The high-profile battle. What's going on? This terrifying aura. Sister Caulifla, who was hiding behind a boulder, was suddenly surprised and couldn't help but stretch out her head and glance. Sun Wukong. And that bald head, how did they meet? Caulifla was a little surprised. "Is this Jiren's breath? We can clearly feel it even far away in the auditorium." Cold sweat broke out on Klein's face, and looking at Goku's expression, he couldn't help but feel a little more worried. Not only him, even Beerus and other gods of destruction are not confident. How is it possible? A mere mortal, the breath can reach this level. Oh, it seems that the legendary human is really existence, man who surpasses God. Weiss also showed a rare dignified expression. "Isn't Wukong in danger?" the king god said worriedly. Everyone is speechless, because now they can't interfere with each other's battle. "Have you finally made a move? Well, just use the power of Sun Wukong to show me your strength, Jiren of the 11th Universe." The 3rd Universe World King raised his glasses and said. "Dad." Gohan was also worried when he noticed the terrible aura. "Ho ho ho ho, it looks like I've found some amazing characters." Frieza stood on a high place, looking at Monkey King and Jiren not far below, her eyes twinkling brightly. "Humph. Is it finally here?" Vegeta looked at this scene with a solemn expression. At this time, almost all the players stopped fighting, and their eyes were all turned to the battlefield where Sun Wukong was, because everyone understood what this battle meant. At the same time, they are also very curious about Jiren's power in the 11th Universe, and are eager to see a wonderful game. "Oh, it's starting. Jiren is so strong." The 2 Quanwongs applauded, very excited. The players from all universes have also stopped. They are all standing and watching the battle between Sun Wukong and Jiren. One of them will lose. However, Jiren, who has never shown his strength, may have a better chance of winning. The priest smiled slightly. Jiren's breath spread to every corner of the ring, and at the same time, Goku, who was closest to him, also trembled involuntarily. Seeing Jiren's seriousness, Tispo knew that he was no longer needed here, so he said hello to Jiren and left. Wukong regained his super blue state and returned to his normal form, then he walked towards Jiren with a strong fighting intent. The two walked towards each other, and at the same time, Wukong exuded an extremely powerful aura, and the two forces kept colliding, ravaging the entire arena. Soon, the two walked up to each other. "Jiren, I've always wanted to learn from you, and now, I finally have a chance." Wukong looked at Jiren with a smile. Boring, the team members of the 11th Universe are eliminated one after another. "Monkey King, are you ready?" Ji Lian looked at Monkey King blankly. "Let the horse come over," Wukong said confidently. Jiren suddenly flashed a golden light in his eyes, and in the next instant, an extremely terrifying coercion erupted directly towards Wukong. Wow! Wukong was directly forced to retreat by that coercion, and his body was wiped back by more than 10 meters. On the other side, Luya was also watching this scene from a height. Wukong took a deep breath, and then sighed. Really powerful. To be honest, this is the first time I have met a powerful opponent like you. However, I will not easily admit defeat." Saying that, Wukong roared, and the next moment, a white energy shot up into the sky, and then, Wukong's breath reached a peak. "Turtle School Qigong. Come on." Wukong let out a low voice, and the next moment, he fired Turtle Qigong directly at Jiren. A powerful force rushed over. But Jiren blocked Goku's move with just his aura. When Wukong saw this, he could only put away his power and rushed towards the opponent directly. Da 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 da. Jiren didn't choose to dodge, but let Goku hit, but even if Goku tried his best, he couldn't force Jiren back a millimeter. Ha! Wukong punched Jiren in the face, but the latter looked at him blankly, as if to say that the opponent's attack was not even a scratch. Goku gritted his teeth, and immediately exploded in place. He instantly transformed into a Super Saiyan, and threw countless punches again. Even after the transformation, his strength increased by an unknown number of times, but Jiren still didn't. Any changes? Everyone who saw this scene fell silent. Immediately afterwards, they all sweated secretly. How could this guy be so powerful? It can be said that no one in the field can ignore the attack of Goku in Super Saiyan state at will, but the opponent not only did it, but also showed no sign of being repelled. Hum. Are you surprised now? Jiren's strength is far more than that. The clown destruction god was extremely proud and looked at Jiren with satisfaction. It seems that this battle has undoubtedly established Jiren's prestige. The 11th Realm King Shen smiled lightly. Goku can directly transform into Super Saiyan Blue to fight Jiren. Why did he do this? The 7th Realm King Shen said inexplicably. The old realm god said lightly, Wukong is testing Jiren's strength, but the current situation seems to be very bad. ... Da. Wukong kept punching, but it didn't work at all. Wukong took a few steps back, but his face became more and more solemn, and then he burst out violently. A powerful red force burst out, and Wukong directly transformed into the Super Saiyan God. And seeing Goku's transformation, Jiren's eyes finally had a ripple. Wukong smiled slightly, and the next moment, he rushed directly to Jiren, punching out without leaving the slightest. Snapped. But at this time, Jiren did it. I saw that he directly raised his hand and grabbed Wukong's fist, and his body sank directly at the same time. Surprise flashed across Wukong's eyes. It seems that you are not invincible. No matter how he transformed to attack the opponent before, the opponent was indifferent, causing Wukong to think that the opponent was really invincible. This kind of guy is even more dangerous than the god of destruction. But now seeing that the other party finally reacted, he immediately let him know that the other party was not an unsurpassable existence. It's my turn now, Jillian said lightly, and then he suddenly burst out with a pressure. Just this pressure, suddenly, Wukong's face changed greatly. The next moment his body felt like a heavy blow. It flew out directly and smashed countless mountain edges. But the next second, with a loud shout, Goku's figure flashed directly in front of Jiren not far away. Goku looked at Jiren solemnly, and then he clenched his hands and began to gather strength. Ha. Boom. The next moment, the red breath directly turned into blue radiance, and Goku directly turned into Super Saiyan Blue. Exploding his power to the extreme, Wukong did not dare to have the slightest carelessness. The opponent in front of him surpassed the previous opponents by too many. Come on Jiren, let's have a good fight. Wukong roared, and then he rushed straight towards Jiren, extremely fast. Jiren didn't stand still anymore, and moved at the same time. Chapter 164 The Strongest Jiren. Goku crushed. Swish. As soon as the two fought, they showed extremely terrifying speed, which was dazzling, but people with enough strength could see that Jiren had no pressure to deal with Sun Wukong at all. Boom. After Goku fought Jiren for dozens of rounds, he was punched by the opponent more than a dozen times, but he didn't even touch the edge of the opponent's clothes. Didn't hurt anyone. However, he still didn't believe in evil, so he rushed in front of Jiren and continuously performed ultra-high-speed punches directly at the opponent, but Jiren was able to escape easily. Goku seems to be chasing after Jiren, but in fact the opponent controls the initiative, and Wukong can only cover up his flaws with rapid attacks, but once Jiren hits, he will completely lose the initiative. Whis analyzed while watching the battle on the field. Damn, why would such a powerful human take part in this power conference? Beerus said with some displeasure. Universe 11 is really powerful, Teacher Wu Tian said with a sigh. As Sun Wukong's master, he was naturally extremely worried about the situation, but the more he looked at it, the more he realized that Wukong's chances of winning were very slim. Wukong kept attacking, but he didn't hit the opponent. Instead, he was anxious and accidentally revealed his flaws. But Jiren grasped this very keenly, and he immediately knocked Goku flying with one punch and two punches. Wukong endured the pain. The opponent's strength is very large, even stronger than Hit's strength. So whenever he was hit, the pain would be very intense. But he didn't dare to call it out, he had to hold his breath, otherwise he was afraid that his flaws would be too great and he would be easily defeated by the opponent. Damn it! Goku charged directly towards Jiren, and the blue energy raged and burst out continuously. Compared to Wukong's heart-breaking, Jiren's face was calm. He dodged Wukong's fist, and the next moment he hit his knees directly, and directly spit Wukong out. Immediately afterwards, Jiren grabbed Goku's ankle and smashed directly to the ground. Wukong could only let out a scream, and in Jillian's hands, he was like a child, with no resistance at all. Impossible, even Super Saiyan Blue has no effect on that guy. Vegeta looked at this scene in disbelief. He didn't expect that Super Saiyan Blue's powerful form, in front of this guy called Jiren, he seemed so vulnerable. Interesting, this is the first time I saw Monkey King being beaten so badly. Frieza was a little surprised, but when he looked at Jiren, he showed a bit of solemnity. Tenfold World King Fist Ah! Goku, who was being caught by Jiren and smashed everywhere, suddenly shouted, and directly cast the King of Kings fist, and immediately broke free from Jiren's shackles. Simultaneously punched Jiren. The latter's eyes froze, his figure flashed, and he disappeared instantly. Wukong also disappeared, and there were bursts of collisions in the field, but soon, a figure smashed into the air. It's Goku. Wukong was deeply embedded in the stone wall, gasping for breath. Jiren appeared in front of him, grabbed his hair and punched him directly. Wukong was directly vomited, and he was about to explode. Suddenly, Jiren fired a red energy bullet and took him away. Wukong was directly pushed away by the energy bomb, and Jiren suddenly stretched out his palm in the direction of Wukong, and then slammed it. Boom! A huge explosion sounded directly. Amazing. Goku! Everyone in the 7th universe exclaimed in shock. Crush! Completely crushed. Even with the tenfold World King Fist, he is far from being Jiren's opponent. Ha ha ha, good job Jiren. With Sun Wukong eliminated, the rest of the 7th universe will not be a problem. The Clown Destruction God said excitedly. In this way, that's the home of my 11th universe. 11th universe King Shen smiled slightly. Sun Wukong never thought that his arrogance would become Jillian's way to deter Xiao Xiao. The Clown Destruction God smiled disdainfully, as if he had taken control of the situation. Dad, is he really out? Gohan said in disbelief. Not necessarily. I haven't seen Lao Sun in the audience until now. Piccolo said lightly. Okay. At this time, the smoke dissipated, and everyone's eyes noticed that there was a hand on the edge of the ring, and it did not fall. Hey, life is really big. The Clown Destruction God said with some dissatisfaction. Everyone in the 7th universe breathed a sigh of relief. Wukong exerted force directly, and then he jumped up, gasping for breath. Some can't believe it. Your power is far beyond me. Jillian looked at Sun Wukong, then walked towards him. Monkey King, don't struggle anymore, you are no match for me anyway. Wukong laughed. That might be the case. I will never give up. After speaking, he suddenly exploded, and in an instant, the power of the king's fist increased to 20 times. Boom! A powerful aura emanated directly, and immediately, Wukong's power was like Jiren's before, and the whole ring was filled with his aura. Jiren didn't care, the ending that he believed, no one could ever escape. Wukong put his hands on his waist, and then, he gathered his strength, turtle school Qigong. Ha! Boom! Different from last time, this time, he is loaded with the power of 20 times the World King Fist and Super Blue. How terrifying the power. Even Jillian was slightly moved, but that's all. Jillian stretched out his hand indifferently. Suddenly, a wall of air appeared in front of him, and this wall of air was also condensed by his aura. Wukong's attack actually failed to break this wall of air. How could it be? Even Wukong himself couldn't believe it. He didn't expect that the opponent's power was incomparably terrifying. Even his strongest turtle Qigong can't break the opponent's defense. Is that a lie? Suddenly, Jiren's eyes revealed a red light, and then, a powerful energy bomb shot out directly. In an instant, Wukong's turtle Qigong was directly disintegrated, and a more powerful force rushed directly to him. Wukong was startled and hurriedly dodged, but when he jumped up, Jiren appeared in front of him and knocked Wukong down again with a punch. Boom! A huge pit appeared on the ring, and Wukong lay in it with his teeth grinning, his face a little painful. How could this be? He has already used 20 times the king's fist, but it's useless. The seventh king of the realm couldn't believe it, even such a powerful Wukong was defeated. There's no way that Jiren has surpassed Goku by too much. The gap in strength is destined for the weak to do nothing. Weiss shook his head and said with some regret. Weiss, what are you talking about? Growing other people's ambition destroys his own prestige. Beerus looked at Weiss in disgust. Oh, but this is the truth, Beerus-sama. Weiss said regretfully. Ha ha ha, Beerus, that disciple of yours has no brains at all. How dare you challenge Jiren? Champa couldn't help but say it. Shut up, it's better than no one in your sixth universe dares to go. Beerus responded. Humph, whatever you say, I'll wait for Sun Wukong to be eliminated. When the time comes, let's see what you will do. Champa snorted coldly. Damn, is there no way to solve Jiren? Beerus shouted angrily. Heh, defeat Jiren, I think, you're just talking nonsense. The clown destruction god showed a faint smile. Jiren, unstoppable. Chapter 165 The Last Trick. Goku's Death. Jillian walked to the pit and looked at Sun Wukong. Is that all you have? Wukong stood up struggling, and then wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. It's not, I still have the last trick. After he finished speaking, he jumped up and swept to a high ground, and then Wukong raised his hands. Everyone, share your vitality with me. Please. Seeing this scene, those who don't understand look puzzled, while those who understand it. Wukong, is he going to use the vitality bomb? Kaylin couldn't help but said. Idiot, shut up, contribute your strength well. Beerus was afraid that Krillin would leak his mouth, so he couldn't help kicking. Everyone in the seventh universe in the auditorium raised their hands one after another, and suddenly the white vitality flew directly towards Wukong. On the other hand, Gohan and Piccolo knew what Wukong was going to do, so they raised their hands at the first time and distributed their vitality to Wukong. Luya sighed, and although he knew it didn't work, he still raised his hand. He is using the system to detect Jiren's strength, but he has not fully seen the opponent's strength yet, so the statistics are somewhat incomplete, so if he wants to defeat the opponent, he must see the opponent shoot again, so he can only take advantage of Goku. Of course, he knew that Wukong would finally be able to comprehend Zizai Jigong. Oh, interesting, this trick seems familiar. Frieza laughed, and then he raised his hand without hesitation. Then I'm not stingy, let me contribute. The partner's vitality continued to gather towards Wukong, and a huge white light ball condensed above the latter's head. The players in other universes were all shocked, because they felt the breath of death emanating from it. Energetic bomb. the nemesis of all evil. Monkey King, he still has such a powerful means hidden. What a terrible Saiyan, the 11th realm king god said solemnly. Humph. So what? Jiren's power far exceeds that of Sun Wukong, so I believe that Jiren will definitely be able to deal with him. The clown god of destruction said indifferently, with unparalleled confidence in Jiren. But he was also a little anxious in his heart, and immediately shouted to Jillian. Solve the Monkey King as soon as possible. Is this your ultimate trick? Jillian looked at Sun Wukong and said lightly. He didn't take action when Wukong was gathering, and he gave enough respect to his opponent. That's right. This is the Vitality Bomb, said Jiren. This is my most powerful move. If you follow, then I will lose. Wukong said solemnly. Very good. Then I'll show it to you. Jiren stood still a little and looked at Sun Wukong. Here, ha! Wukong suddenly growled, and then, he threw the vitality bullet directly at Jiren. However, Jiren's face changed unexpectedly and did not appear. From beginning to end, Jiren was very calm. Just when the vitality bomb was about to hit Jillian, Jiren suddenly glared, and a powerful aura directly blocked the vitality bomb. What? At this moment, everyone was shocked. How is it possible? Is this still a human? Just relying on the aura to block the vitality bomb. Kaylin and others' faces turned green. It was unbelievable that they would see this scene. You must know that the vitality bomb is something that most people have no spare power to resist at all. As long as the caster has sufficient physical strength, it can hit the target, but now, the opponent has blocked it. So doesn't it mean that the opponent's own strength is far stronger than the vitality bomb itself? I understand. The reason why Jiren didn't take action ahead of time was that he wanted to defeat Sun Wukong when he exerted all his strength. The shock formed in this way is the most effective. The 11th realm god suddenly understood. Road. Humph. Even so, everyone must have seen Jiren's strength. The clown destruction god smiled lightly. Bastard. How is that possible? Wukong was also shocked and unbelievable. He didn't expect that the other party could block his strongest blow with just one look. This was undoubtedly a very powerful blow to him. Blow. Ah! Wukong roared, and then, he exploded his gas directly, and the Super Blue plus Jawong Fist directly outputted full power. Although his physical strength and injuries are not light, it is difficult to maintain it. But to Goku's despair, Jiren couldn't shake it at all. How can it be? How could there be such a powerful warrior? No matter how firm the heart of Wukong in martial arts is, he is still frightened at this time. It's time to end, Jillian said indifferently, and immediately took a step forward. At the same time, a terrifying aura shook directly. Suddenly, Wukong's vitality bomb was pushed back. Crap! Gohan and the others watched their heart beat faster. They wanted to help, but the terrifying aura told them that this kind of battle was not something they could join in. Jillian, come on, smash the pride of Sun Wukong, Toppo said to himself while watching this scene. Ah! Goku struggled to maintain the vitality bullet, but as Jiren approached step by step, he found that he was no match for Jiren. Sun Wukong, you are indeed a good opponent, but in the face of absolute power, you are still vulnerable. Jillian stretched out his hand, and then he let out a low voice, and suddenly, the huge vitality bomb suddenly moved towards Wukong. Bounce back. And this time, Goku lost his blocking power. Because of Jiren's power, he couldn't stop it at all. Under the terrifying power, the vitality bomb blasted directly at Wukong. Crap! Beerus' eyes widened and he stood up. Goku! Run away! However, at this time, the magnetic field around Wukong has been completely locked, and his power is difficult to escape, and can only be submerged in the vitality bomb made by himself. Wukong screamed, and suddenly, a powerful force directly wrapped him and engulfed him. Boom! A huge explosion exploded directly. The entire arena was also destroyed by nearly half at this moment. The whole world of nowhere is shaking. It's over. Jiren hugged his chest and slowly closed his eyes. The entire explosion lasted for a very long time, and the field gradually returned to normal. At this time, a giant pit appeared in the field, and behind the giant pit, there was nothing but the aura of destruction. Everyone looked at this scene in a daze, and at the same time, they couldn't help showing a trace of fear in their hearts. Sun Wukong's unique move is so powerful that everyone is afraid of it. But Jiren was able to push back such a powerful force directly, which also proved Jiren's strength. I didn't notice Wukong's breath. Could it be that Wukong? Kaylin and the others looked into it carefully, and his face suddenly turned pale. How is that possible? Even if he is eliminated, Goku should be teleported back to the auditorium. Beerus said in disbelief. Oh, I didn't feel Wukong's power at all, he seems to have disappeared. Weiss said with some complexity. Disappeared? You mean, Goku, he's dead? Beerus said in disbelief. Impossible. Kaylin and the others were all grief-stricken. Chapter 166-extremely free. Goku's awakening. In the field, everyone looked at the giant pit, and they were keenly aware that the aura of Sun Wukong had disappeared. In the whole world of nothingness, not even a shred of his breath no longer exists. In other words, Sun Wukong, dead. All the little friends looked unbelievable. Wukong can be said to be their sedative, but now that he has disappeared, what a blow to them. Is this Jiren's power? Who in the field can handle him? Even as strong as Sun Wukong has been crushed. Just like Jiren, is that a murder? Beerus looked at the high priest with some dissatisfaction. The grand priest glanced at the crowd, and immediately said, the death of Sun Wukong can be said to be caused by his own attack, so according to the rules, the Sun Wukong player died under his own attack. This is not the responsibility of Jiren player, so, it's a pity that the reason why Sun Wukong disappeared is his own problem. Jiren, he didn't kill anyone. How could this be? Beerus and the others all looked ugly. Now, I announce that the death of Sun Wukong is considered eliminated. The great priest said ruthlessly. Although he also has a good impression of Sun Wukong, the rules are the rules, and even he can't break them. The two Quanwongs looked at each other in dismay. They both regarded Wukong as a friend, but now they have to personally remove Wukong's qualifications, which is a bit difficult for them to do. Really? Is this the end? Everyone in the 7th universe looked sad. Luya stood on a high place and looked down solemnly, but he was not worried, everything was going according to his expectations. Goku won't lose the game so easily. Now is not the time for him to play. Jiren glanced at the huge pit indifferently, and then he turned and left. Swish. Suddenly, the afterimage of Yi suddenly attacked him, and the speed was very terrifying. But Jiren grabbed it with his backhand, and immediately, he grabbed a mantis-like bug. Ah, how could this be? This has all been discovered. The 4th universe god of destruction, Keetra, was a little unbelievable. That bug player is the person from his 4th universe. He originally planned to use a sneak attack to eliminate Jiren when Jiren relaxed his vigilance and exhausted his physical strength. He didn't expect the opponent to be so powerful. Jiren looked at the worm player in his hand, and immediately said, the ants struggle. As he said that, he threw it violently into the distance. Suddenly, the insect flew out at the speed of a bullet. It couldn't break free from the bondage of that kind of power, and it could only watch itself fall into the ring. The 4th universe insect man Daemon player is out. The Grand Priest announced. Quan Wang Yi Lang, who originally wanted to kill Wukong's avatar, immediately found the Daemon player in the 4th universe and directly pressed his avatar. Now there are 2 people left in the 4th universe, one is the invisible man Gami Solace, and the other is Mona. After eliminating the insect man, Jiren continued to walk. Could it be? Monkey King, you guy, is this the end? Beerus did not pay attention to the changes in the field, but fell into a pessimistic mood. At this moment, King Quan hesitated for a moment, then turned to the interface of Universe 7 and looked at the portrait of Sun Wukong. King Quan looked at each other and one of them silently extended his hand towards him. Goku, I don't believe it, you will stop here. Beerus clenched his fist tightly. Boom, boom. Suddenly, the entire ring suddenly began to tremble. This abnormality surprised everyone. What happened? The whole ring? No. The whole world of nothingness is shaking. The gods and the players all showed incredible expressions. All the gods were attracted, even King Quan. That kind of change, could it be? Teacher Wu Tian suddenly thought of something, and said in disbelief. Needless to say, Krillin suddenly revealed a smile. Lord Beerus, lighten your thoughts. Whis suddenly said to Beerus with ease. After Beerus lost his mind for a short time, he suddenly showed a radiant, come on. Boom. Suddenly, from the giant pit, a dazzling white light shot straight into the sky. The entire arena was shaken by this boundless power. Is it finally here? Luya smiled slightly. As expected, Frieza grinned. HMPH. That guy Kakarot really can play dead. Vegeta sneered, but his expression was relaxed. Jillian. Toppo and Tease dashed to Jillian's side. The latter ignored them, but walked back towards the giant pit, staring straight into the giant pit in his eyes. In the white light, vaguely visible, is a wolf figure standing up slowly, the whole body is covered with sacred brilliance. Monkey King, interesting person. Jillian looked at each other and said lightly. The white light dissipated, revealing Wukong's figure. Wukong suddenly opened his eyes slowly, but his eyes were not as black as before, but were dyed with a layer of silver. At the same time, a scorching hot air spread out, and a very terrifying heat wave radiated from the whole body. Son Wukong, who is struggling? Tispo, let's go, Toppo suddenly shouted in a low voice. Then, he and Tispo jumped directly into the giant pit and charged towards Wukong. The two attacked in twos, and punched directly at Wukong. But a strange thing happened. In an instant, Wukong's hands slowly lifted up, like a thousand-handed guanyin. It seemed extremely slow, but the speed was extremely fast. Snapped. Snapped. In an instant, Goku directly caught the attack of Toppo and Tispo. The next moment, Wukong suddenly flicked, and suddenly, the two flew out backwards and slammed into the wall. This scene really shocked everyone. Impossible. Faced with the attacks of Toppo and Tispo, Son Wukong, who was so seriously injured, was able to resolve it perfectly. How is this possible? The 11th Realm King God said in disbelief. Oh, the changes in the Monkey King players are quite interesting. The Great Priest smiled and said meaningfully. Oh, great. Goku is still alive. I'm still alive. I've changed so much. The two Quanwongs were very excited and danced. But Goku didn't even look at them, and went straight to Jiren. In the eyes of others, Goku is walking, but the next moment, Goku has already appeared in front of Jiren. The two looked at each other closely. Jiren looked at Wukong, his eyes narrowed, and he shot instantly, but Wukong seemed to have predicted his movements, and tilted his head slightly, just avoiding Jiren's fist, and he also shot at this moment. Jiren's expression did not change, and his figure evaded Goku's attack in a flash. The two attacked extremely fast. Almost no players can keep up with their moves. What the hell happened to this guy Kakarot? Why can't I keep up with their speed? Vegeta gritted her teeth and couldn't believe it. It's so fast, I can't catch their movements at all. Number 17 also frowned. Not only them, but others, including Hit, were staring at this scene. Weiss, that is. Beerus suddenly thought of something when he saw Goku's scene, and suddenly wanted to confirm. Yes, Whis nodded, knowing what Beerus was thinking. So that's the case, has he finally achieved it? Beerus showed a smile. Yes. Weiss also showed a gratified smile. The form of Wukong, yes. Luya is watching carefully, and at the same time he is collecting their power data. Watching Goku and Jiren's battle, his heart is also boiling. ZZGE Gong. Chapter 167_lose again. Unsustainable freedom. Extremely free. All gods of destruction are shocked. They all looked at the figure of Son Wukong in disbelief. How is that possible? How can a mere mortal understand God's skills? The clown destruction god said in disbelief. Monkey King, what a monster exists. Kai Wang Shen also showed a cold sweat. Zizai Ji Yi Gong. What is this? Kaylin and the others looked at Weiss in confusion. Weiss smiled and explained. Zizai Ji Yi Gong, which is different from the previous fighting method that relied on perceptual qi, relies on various parts of the body to perform conditioned reflex movements without the need for a bit of thinking in the brain, and maximizes the speed of movement and the ability to react. The body and consciousness are separated, so that each part of the self can go beyond the instinct to perceive the danger around, no longer need the brain to think first and then act. This is the skill of God, the potential explosion form after breaking through the limit of oneself. It's amazing. Kaylin and the others were amazed. Of course, although they don't understand. A long time ago, when I directed the training of Goku and Vegeta, I taught them to let go of their thinking and then take action, but because of their fighting habits, they couldn't do it. Unexpectedly, Goku was in the at this juncture. I realized that, I think, it should have suffered the impact of the Vitality Bomb, and his own potential forced his strength to collide with the Vitality Bomb, which finally resonated and fully exploded his potential. Weiss went on to explain. Fantastic. It seems that Wukong can win, right? Kaylin said excitedly. Not necessarily, although Wukong's form has the shadow of the free will, but it is still far from what he expected. Moreover, the heat in his body shows this very well. If he consumes his physical energy, then he will not be at all. It is impossible to maintain this form. Weiss shook his head and said. At this time, Wukong is crazy PK with Jiren. The speed of both of them has reached the peak that ordinary people can't reach, and Wukong actually caused substantial damage to Jiren. This is something no one thought of. You know, even before Goku's Super Blue Plus World King Fist was not able to scratch Jiren's clothes, but now, he has been able to leave scars on the opponent's body. Bump bump. The battle between Wukong and Jiren was particularly fierce, but it can be seen that Wukong's attack was very active, but even so, the heat on his body was also increasing. So many that even the audience can feel his heat wave. Wukong has just realized Zizai Ultimate Inspiration Technique, and his mastery of his body has not kept pace with the changes in his form, which may greatly reduce the power of Zizai Ultimate Intent Technique. Weiss said suddenly. Damn it, even the Zizai Instinct can't defeat Jiren. What kind of monster is this? Beerus' face was a little ugly. Jiren's strength, even he, the god of destruction, couldn't believe it. The power of human beings can actually reach this level, which is very worthy of thought for him and the gods. Ah! At this moment, Wukong suddenly burst out, and then, he punched him fiercely, and Jiren was directly repelled. Boom! The figure fell to the ground, and the ground cracked directly. Jiren looked up at Wukong with a blank expression, and his eyes were a little indifferent. And Goku is falling down with the help of falling gravity, and at the same time condensing his strength. Turtle School Qigong. When Wukong gathered his strength, the heat around his body suddenly dissipated a lot, and then, his eyes suddenly regained some clarity. Wukong gritted his teeth. He knew in his heart that his time was coming, and in the form of his first entry into Zizai Qigong, he couldn't maintain it for long. And his injuries are getting worse. Without hesitation, Wukong directly condensed into an extremely terrifying force, which was stronger than the previous Vitality Bomb. Jillian, be careful, the Joker god of destruction suddenly shouted worriedly. Ah! With a wild roar like a beast, Goku fell not far above Jiren, and directly hit the Turtle Qigong, and the violent force directly charged towards Jiren. Jiren suddenly raised his hand, and then, a red energy bomb shot out directly, and then, a protective shield formed by a terrifying force directly blocked Wukong's Turtle Qigong. Impossible. Just the aura of strength can block such a powerful Turtle Qigong. How is this possible? Kaylin said in disbelief. Jillianta, from the beginning to the end, did not use all his strength. Teacher Wu Tian said slowly, but his face became solemn. It's really amazing power. It seems that this Jiren is our biggest competitor in the third universe. The wise eyes of the third universe King God showed a touch of fear. HMPH. Scare me. Jiren's power. I should absolutely believe it. The clown destruction god suddenly laughed. He was also afraid that the power of Sun Wukong would threaten Jiren, but it turned out that he thought too much. Although Jiren was not suitable for the form of Sun Wukong at first, his power surpassed Sun Wukong. Therefore, Jiren is the strongest. Wukong outputs terrifying power, but he can't go any further, and the power around him is constantly collapsing. Can't stand it. Sensing that Sun Wukong's power was disappearing, a gleam of light flashed across Jillian's eyes. The next moment, a powerful force burst out from his body, and the red light enveloped his body. Then, he exerted force directly, and in a flash, Wukong the Turtle School Qigong collapsed directly, and a powerful force directly hit his figure. Boom! An area in the air exploded directly, and at the same time Wukong's screams came out. Goku! Beerus shouted worriedly. After all, it's still too tender. With his strength, he can't maintain the ultimate inspiration technique at all. The heat is constantly draining his physical strength. Weiss said regretfully. But this guy is able to achieve this step, it's already very good. Champa surprisingly didn't shout at this time, but was a little dignified. Hee, why does Mr. Champa praise his opponent so much? Vados said curiously. Champa was stunned for a moment when he heard the words, then curled his lips and said, after all, we are the opponent of our sixth universe, we cannot underestimate each other. Swish. The explosion dissipated, Wukong's figure fell directly, and a huge pit was smashed, and he had returned to normal at this time. Wukong, who has returned to normal, is already at the end of his streak. He had already consumed everything he had under the explosion of the vitality bomb. Now that he has lost his freedom, he has returned to before liberation, and he has no strength at all. Jillian, throw away the uncertainty of Sun Wukong. The clown god of destruction suddenly shouted. Jiren's eyes changed for a while, and then he walked towards Sun Wukong. Arriving in front of the pit, Jillian looked at Sun Wukong and said, you are very amazing to be able to force me to this point. Monkey King, your name is qualified for me to remember. It's over. Saying that, he stretched out his hand and condensed an energy bomb. Not good. Berustin became horrified. Nima. Is Goku destined to be eliminated as soon as he comes to life? Does God want to play him like this? And just when Jiren was about to send Wukong away, suddenly a voice came, I'll fight you. Chapter 168_Lure vs Jiren. Full power output. With the appearance of this voice, everyone and the gods were moved, and all turned their attention to the speaker. That's. Krillin and the others were stunned for a moment. Really, is this going to die? Beerus said angrily. Oh, it seems that he is inexplicably confident. Weiss smiled, somewhat surprised. Jiren turned to look at the speaker. Who are you? Luya, who was standing high, cocked his neck and grinned. The Saiyan of the seventh universe, Luya. Luya, what is he doing? Jiren is so powerful, isn't he courting death? Gohan and others were also very puzzled. That guy. Vegeta's face was a little ugly. Why can anyone be in the limelight? You want to fight me? Jillian looked at Luya and said lightly, as if he didn't take Luya seriously. Luya smiled slightly, then glanced at Wukong and said, I can't let you eliminate your companions in the seventh universe so easily. Wukong struggled to raise his head and smiled at Luya. Sun Wukong should be the strongest person in your seventh universe. You come, the result will be the same. Jiren said indifferently. Maybe, I forgot to tell you a fact, the strongest person in the seventh universe is my Luya. Luya laughed, and then he suddenly shouted angrily. The next moment, a terrifying force awakened. In an instant, a powerful light burst out from Luya's body. Boom! In an instant, Luya's breath skyrocketed. At the same time, that white light suddenly turned into a red force. In the red light, Luya's figure appeared, but this scene was like when Wukong comprehends the ultimate freedom. The red light gradually dissipated, and Luya, who was wrapped in red radiance, looked at Jiren and grinned. This is the Super Saiyan Red with full power output. How could that be? In that form, the breath is stronger than blue. At this moment, the gods who saw Luya's power were shocked. Although Luya had also turned into Super Saiyan Red before, but after all, it's just a flash in the pan, it's not as good as the current opponent's full power. As gods, they can naturally feel the breath of Luya, and they also perceive the power of Red. Shanka of the 6th universe was a little shocked when he saw this scene. Why can even he transform? Could it be, when we fought last time, he didn't show his real strength, didn't he? It shouldn't be. Judging from the last battle, he should have really shown his strength, but now he can progress to this level, which is really unbelievable. Not only that, this red form looks better than blue. The color is even stronger. Vados said in surprise. However, there was a bit of solemnity in their eyes, because the strength of the 7th universe was stronger than they thought. It is completely incomparable to the previous battle. Jillian looked at Luya, even though Luya showed his strength, but he did not change his face at all. That's it. Luya didn't care about the opponent's provocation, because he knew that the opponent's strength was even stronger than Red. Therefore, he did not intend to have any reservations at first. Jawangquan. 25 times. Boom. Suddenly, Luya's power skyrocketed again. Suddenly, the whole arena was filled with Luya's breath. Is this guy still human? All the gods were equally astonished. They couldn't believe it. There is a guy stronger than Sun Wukong in the 7th universe. The strength of the whole body was spread, and Luya raised the corner of his mouth slightly. How? My strength has surpassed Wukong. Jillian's eyes moved slightly, and then he shook his head. It's a bit powerful, but it's far from what I expected. Luya snorted coldly, and then he added all his skills. Bump. Swish. The next moment, Luya rushed directly to Jiren. Jillian's eyes suddenly flashed a splendid light, and at the same time, a powerful aura radiated directly, and suddenly, Luya's figure was actually blocked. What? Even so, is it useless? Kaylin and others were a little shocked. Luya's power had shocked them, but now it seems that Jiren seems to be stronger. Humph. How can you defeat Jiren with just your means? Jiren, but the essence of power. Any means are futile. The clown god of destruction sneered, but to be honest, Lure's power also made him surprised, because the strength of the other party is enough to catch up with the footsteps of some gods of destruction. Jillian looked at Luya, and then his breath shook again, and the next second, Luya's figure was directly shaken back. Jillian's figure flashed and went directly to Luya. Luya was startled, then burst out in vain, and fought directly with Jillian. It is worth mentioning that by watching the record of the battle with Wukong, Luya also understood Jillian's moves, so he actually fought with the opponent for a while. There are back and forth. Bump. The two fists met directly. Jillian and Luya looked at each other, and in the next second, a terrifying aura burst out in their eyes. The two forces collided directly. However, it was Jiren who was even stronger, with a set of punches and feet that kicked Luya away, smashing through countless rocks. When they were fighting, Wukong still didn't have the strength to shoot, and he didn't even have the strength to stand up. At this time, Topo and Tispo appeared in front of him. Sun Wukong, although your strength is worthy of recognition, our justice is definitely not something you can contend with. Topo looked at Wukong, and then stretched out his palm towards him to gather his strength. I can only ask you to come on stage. Call out. Suddenly, a burst of energy flew directly over, and both Topo and Tispo were startled, and hurriedly dodged to the side. And that energy bomb flew past where they were. Vegeta fell down and snorted coldly. The so-called justice in your mouth is to take advantage of others' dangers. Vegeta, you alone cannot save Sun Wukong. Topo snorted coldly. He can't do it, so what if you add me? Number 17 appeared beside Vegeta and said indifferently. It's 2-on-2 now. If that's the case, then I won't interfere. Ho ha ho ho. At this time, Frieza also appeared beside Sun Wukong. Frieza, now is a special period, don't think about it. Number 17 glanced at Frieza lightly. Ho ho, don't worry, I have my own plans. Frieza smiled evilly, and then he looked at Sun Wukong. The latter is also looking at him, but Goku is not the slightest defense. He believes that Frieza will not do anything to him. But Frieza reached out to him. Everyone was surprised. Hey, Frieza, what are you doing? Beerus growled, almost wanting to eat Frieza. Ho ho ho, Monkey King, you also have today. Frieza ignored the god of destruction, but looked at the old rival. Wukong smiled. I don't even have the strength to raise my hand now, are you going to eliminate me? Frieza put away her smile, and after a moment of silence, a burst of energy suddenly burst out. But it's not a destructive bullet, it's pure energy. After the energy was integrated, Wukong's body began to recover some physical strength, although it was not enough for him to continue fighting, but at least he would not be slaughtered. Who are you? Goku looked at Frieza in confusion. Frieza turned and left arrogantly. It's a repayment of your favor back then. Then, when Goku thought about it carefully, he realized that he also saved Frieza's life when he was on the Namek planet, although this guy didn't appreciate it in the end. Everyone didn't expect Frieza to save Goku, so they couldn't react. Humph. Never try to save Sun Wukong. Toppo was ready to start. Then let's try it. Number 17 did not give in at all. Hey Kakarot, get out of the way. Don't disturb our fight, Vegeta said unceremoniously. Wukong was a little helpless. Don't speak so harshly. However, he still left here and glanced at Luya who was fighting Jiren. Hey, Toppo, isn't it? I heard that you and Kakarot are in a 55-50 relationship. It's just that Uncle Ben will try it. Vegeta sneered, and the next moment, he directly burst into Super Saiyan Blue. Immediately rushed towards Toppo.